You got some good memes here of uh this one's great. I have to play this for the video.
What the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Betrayal scars, can't stop thinking about those stab wounds. We might not catch him today, but he gon' die soon.
With the conclusion of September and the first 4 weeks of the NFL season, I thought it'd be a good time to go over the Colts' first four games, kind of do a quick recap, and just talk about some of the things that have become prevalent in the Colts, or at least noteworthy, newsworthy, that kind of thing for the Colts so far this year. So, my name is Dylan. I'm a co host with The Third and Wrong. This is the YouTube channel that we use, but I call this Dylan with the Colts. It's a good little dad joke there, I guess, or play on words. But yeah, we'll be dealing with the Colts today. Well, I'll be dealing with the Colts today. You'll be listening to me talk about the Colts. So hopefully that's what you signed up for when you clicked on this video. But we're going to be talking about the first 4 weeks for the Colts. We're going to be talking about the coaching. We're going to be talking about just the players that have kind of surprised in good or bad ways. We'll definitely talk about Anthony Richardson, and with it being 4 weeks, we now can talk about Jonathan Taylor joining the Colts up again. So a lot to talk about today. Full 4 weeks of the season has gone by. We don't have the first week just overreactionary. We're the worst team in the league kind of deal. We get to see the team play a variety of different teams, and now we get to kind of compare and kind of stack up the team where we're at right now and what the rest of the season can look like for the Colts. So thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. We are a smaller YouTube channel, so anything that you can do definitely helps us out here. But I'm going to jump off with something, and maybe this isn't nice of me, but after last year, this will be the last thing from Frank Reich. But I just have to share this because it just encapsulates everything that I was trying to tell people about Frank Reich. Hopefully you can hear this. I don't know how my video editing software picks this up, but
And I realized he was out,
just watch this.
and I didn't know he was out. I didn't know he was out fast enough. It was a play that could
Hold
only
on,
go.
hold on.
There's one that I called a play for Thielen, and then I realized he was out, and I didn't know he was out. I didn't know he was out fast enough. It was a play that could only go to Thielen, so I had to change the call, and that was the one we had to call a timeout on. So that was what happened on that. There's one.
Okay, so you kind of get the picture there. But I just pulled that video up because as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, this is the last thing. We don't need to keep on beating a dead horse. But Frank Reich, he had to go, and it's not because he's not talented as an offensive coordinator, not that he doesn't know how to work with quarterbacks very well, that kind of thing. It's just his leadership is, at least as far as what we can see from the media, we can't see what the locker room's like. And there's a lot of people that say that they really like Frank Reich and everything, but just outwardly gives no confidence to the fan base that he can do the job. And outwardly, like, that's what a big part of the business is owners want their head coaches be like, oh yeah, this, that, and move on. And every week for Frank Reich, it's like, oh, we got to be better this week. We're almost there. Or, we have one. We're like a few plays away from getting this win, and it's just like it's just tiring, man. And I'm sorry, Panthers fans, like being stuck with this for your first year after getting Bryce Young, stuff like that. It's just going to be a rough season for you guys. I'm sorry. Bryce Young doesn't look super prepared. I think you could blame that on leadership at this point. And at this point, it's just like, what does he bring to the organization other than just quarterback knowledge? Which even at this point, like, he doesn't look like Bryce Young is ready, and I don't think anyone would have expected that going into the year. Like, you had Bryce Young, who was one of the more polished quarterbacks, is so say everyone basically talking about it. And then you have Frank Reich, who's supposed to be this great quarterback coach. Then you also have what's his name? It's not Fitzpatrick. It's just one of those other backup quarterbacks that've been there forever. It's blinking on me. McCown, maybe Josh McCown. But yeah, just I'm sorry, Panthers fans, and to those Colts fans watching. That was what Frank Reich did for so long, and for some reason people just believed it forever. So I'm glad we got accountability with Shane Steichen. I'm glad that we have someone that can say this cornerback is not playing good. He's not going to play. Kind of like Brandon Fashion should have been in the same boat last year, but we kept on playing him, hoping for a different result. It's nice to see just a coach act more like a coach and not like a high school coach or we're almost there, or these guys are doing good. We just need to you know be 1% better. Like, it's all fine and good, but just, man, like, it is such a breath of fresh air. I think I saw a stat that last year we were 30th in red zone conversion, and this year we're like, at least top 10, if not higher. So it's good to see that the Colts are making a big change. So I was going to talk about that first. The next thing I was going to talk about is just the overall stats so far for the Colts. So obviously Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew got a lot of experience, got a lot of play time with the Colts this year so far. Anthony Richardson started 3 games, but was only able to finish 2 of them. I guess technically he didn't even finish the first one. So this last game was the first one he was able to finish. Gardner Minshew came in at the end of the first game, had like 2 plays, didn't do much. Came in after the first quarter of the second game, played all of the third game, and then Anthony Richardson finished the whole game. So just a few stat comparisons here. Minshew had higher completion percentage, but the yards that Anthony Richardson brings is definitely better. Average, I think the per game average is going to be a little bit thrown off, but I think Gardner Minshew, basically, if you're going to play per quarter, is probably around 230, 250 yards passing is what he had. But yeah, the thing I would say that most jumps out is that they both have been able to play within the system really well. And I think Michael Pittman did better with Gardner Minshew, but still Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman have really linked up so far. So that's looking good, and got a lot to improve on here. Rushing, so Zach Moss missed the first game, but it came out he has 280 yards rushing over 3 games. So 93 yards per game average, which is super nice for a flyer in the Nyheim Hines trade that we had. Anthony Richardson is our next leading rusher, which makes a lot of sense if you've been watching the games. Not that he's running every single play, but he definitely has the ability to do it. We saw him slide this last game, so that's good news that he knows how to slide. But other than that, we haven't really had much else. Jake Funk, I think Evan Hull had a really nice run before he got injured, so kind of sad that he's out for the year. Only got 1 yard to his name so far, technically, even though his got called back from a penalty. But that's kind of the biggest question so far with the Colts is their run game. And it's gotten better with Zach Moss, but now we have Jonathan Taylor on the verge of coming back. We'll see if he comes back this week. But I think the rushing game is a little bit like a step taken back from the last regime, because we did have, I feel like, better running, just lanes, better big plays with running, stuff like that. Obviously Jonathan Taylor being missing impacts that hugely, but still, Deion Jackson had a 100-yard rushing game last year, if I'm not mistaken, or within the last 2 years. So that's just kind of an update for after 4 games. Not the worst. It looks like we're averaging over 100 yards rushing a game. So, not complaining, but still, it's just one of those things that we could still be better at. We were one of the top rushing teams a few years ago, but going on to receiving, the big bulk share is going to Michael Pittman. He's deserved it. I wish I could pull up this picture real quick of Michael Pittman getting face masked in Baltimore when he was making that catch in overtime. But Michael Pittman, I think he at one point had the most catches or most targets or something close to that. He doesn't have the the most amount of yards per catch, but he's definitely involved the most compared to everyone else. Josh Downs has he's done really good. He has a few drops. I think there are a few things that he just needs to work on with body control, getting himself in a position to catch, and also just making it easier for Anthony Richardson to get him the ball. Not that he's done anything bad, but that's just more of a he's able to improve, and I think that's expected. He's a rookie. He's not going to be some slot god from the beginning. But Alec Pierce has been kind of the biggest disappointment so far. I mean, we saw all these highlights in training camp and just in the offseason of Alec Pierce just going up, high pointing the ball 20 feet in the air and coming down with it. And it looks like if it doesn't hit him in the chest, he's not really catching it. So kind of a bummer because he does have a lot of potential. He's very athletic, tall, he's got speed. So hopefully we can turn that around. But after those three wide receivers, it's just a block of tight ends. Kylie Granson leading the way. He's kind of the short yardage, Dallas Goedert looking receiver for the Colts. And then Drew Ogletree really stood out this last game. And I believe either the first or second game that we had, he had a few good catches. Mo Alley Cox finally made a name for himself this year. With this last game, he had a great, touchdown catch late in the game. Will Mallory had a wonderful run, and everyone else kind of just is just check down, stuff like that. So nothing too crazy there. That's the offense. The offense honestly isn't really where I think we should be. I think our offense is slowing our team down more than our defense is. So we'll talk about the defense though. Zaire Franklin kind of leading the league, I think, still with total tackles. I know he's probably leading with solo tackles. Surprisingly, Julian Blackman is right behind him, along with Kenny Moore. Shaq is right there, though, this is below Shaq's normal pace. So as far as tackle goes, it's looking like Zaire is kind of the where everything is getting funneled to. He's making a lot of great plays. It looks like he has, I want to say he had a forced fumble, and he's had a pass deflection, 1.5 sacks. So he's doing what he can, and he's looking really good so far for how old he is. And he's not super old, but he's not like this spry young linebacker just barely getting out there. He's been working and grinding, so love to see that from Zaire Franklin. The other thing I want to talk about is Dallas Flowers. I mean, he might be out for the year now, but he had a great set of 4 games. I wouldn't say he was locked down, but he made a lot of great plays, a lot of pass deflections that I saw. But he also just, forced the receivers to just not get the ball, and that's kind of the job there for the cornerback. So didn't hear his name a lot, which is a good thing for corners sometimes. But Juju Brent's his first game back. He made a splash play, getting that forced fumble, Shaq style. So it was good to see him just pop that out first game and made some big plays to help us beat the Baltimore Ravens. So the other thing too, Deo Daingbo just came out with a big game. Just seemed to wreak havoc against that Los Angeles Rams line. And then across the board, obviously we're seeing great things from Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner whenever they're healthy. Kenny Moore's been looking solid again, if not more than solid. And then Samson Ibukam has been the offseason pickup outside of Matt Gay. He's been the offseason pickup for the Colts that we're all talking about. So, kind of replaces that Yannick Ngakoue role, a little bit cheaper, but just as effective, if not even more. So, good on Chris Ballard there. But across the board, looking through all these names, Taven Bryan got 2 sacks. Kwity Paye had 3 sacks in 3 games. I think he might be injured at the moment. But he's our sack leader right now, which is pretty crazy. And then obviously Jacob Martin getting his sack against the Texans. That was cool to see. But yeah, the other thing too, like I just mentioned, Matt Gay had a phenomenal game against the Baltimore Ravens. Missed the kick against his former team, the Rams, this last game, but Other than that, it's been super solid. Kind of shows why you pay a kicker the money that he's been getting paid. One miss kind of sucks, but other than that, he's holding it down, which we just haven't had. A kicker hold it down since Vinatieri fell off. So good to see that. But that's not super exciting overview, but that is an overview of the Colts for the moment. The other things that we can talk about, just as a whole, we can talk about Shane Steichen and more importantly, I think Gus Bradley. Shane Steichen kind of seems to be able to shake it up and do what he needs to do to get the offense rolling. I think we saw, all of these games, he's been able to make adjustments and score later on in the game, and scoring 23 unanswered points against the Rams. I think we should have been able to win that game going into it. But after being down 23-0 and then tying it up before the game ends, I think that just speaks, one, to Shane Steichen's ability to make adjustments, but also Anthony Richardson and that team being able to just stay resilient, put in the work, and get the opportunity to go to overtime. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the ball because we gave up the touchdown to the Rams. But overall, if you look at the games, the Jaguars game, we were really in that game until there was an unfortunate interception. I think Anthony Richardson's only interception. It was in that Jaguars game, and it was just the right read, just the wrong type of throw. Just got snagged out of the air. Great play by the cornerback. And if that doesn't happen, who knows? We might be 3-1 at this point. So the Colts have been playing well. They haven't been just kind of taken to the dog shed outside of the first half of the Rams game. So I think the offense is looking good, but also got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do just on consistency, on the simple things, getting simple plays out there, getting them just chunk plays, or not chunk plays, but like just getting the engine plays, the ones that are just going to keep the offense rolling through the game. And then we can obviously see all the chunk plays, the 40-yard bomb to Alec Pierce on Sunday, or Michael Pittman going 30 yards and absolutely mossing someone. So, we definitely have that in here with the Colts. We got that firepower. We just need to get that consistency underway. Get that, get the churning yards plays, the 3 or 4 yard hook routes, stuff like that. And I think that's going to come with time. I think Anthony Richardson still needs to just really work on his consistency, really work on getting his footwork to stay consistent. And I mean, to be fair to Anthony Richardson, getting offensive line play that is consistent as well. That's kind of the one thing I didn't mention with the offense. The offensive line hasn't been playing super well. The right guard is definitely our weaker spot right now, but also we had a heavily injured game with our left tackle, center, and right guard. Our right tackle, maybe it was just the two that were out, with our left tackle and center with Ryan Kelly. Yeah. And so we've gone through it with offensive line. We were not where we were when we first got Quentin Nelson and we had Anthony Costanzo, but it seems like we're getting back on track with that. So hopefully we can get that right guard position just to be at that average level, if not above average, and everything else will work out behind it. So but now that we've got all that out of the way, we can talk about Gus Bradley. I think that's the most polarizing part of the Colts is, maybe not the most, with Jonathan Taylor coming up here, but Gus Bradley, I think a lot of people get frustrated with Gus Bradley's system because it's the bend don't break, it's the zone. But I think what it really is that's what Chris Ballard wants. Gus Bradley isn't known for this, Tampa 2 cover 2 style. He's been more of the cover 1, cover 3, which is more of what Seattle was. I think he was even the DC for when they had that, that great defense there. But everywhere that Gus Bradley has gone, he has developed a great reputation for getting the quarterback, getting sacks, getting a lot of interruption on the quarterback, and we've seen that this year. The bend don't break, the soft zone. I think that's more of a reaction to this, this game where if you go cover three, cover one, and you don't have the right guys, which we don't have right now, you're gonna get 70-yard plays. You're gonna get 50-yard plays. The plays that you see Tyreek Hill go and just destroy people on, or I mean Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. Like if we go to what Gus Bradley has done with the cover three, cover one stuff, I don't know if we even really have the guys to do that, or if we're going with what he wants to do with a lot of man coverage and stuff like that. So this is more of a blend of what the Colts have been in the past, but also how can we work with what has worked in the past to getting sacks and get interruption on the quarterback, which we have been able to do. I think up until this week, we were either number one or top three in getting sacks, getting tackles for losses, stuff like that. So our defensive line has actually been doing really good. So obviously, maybe we're not there anymore after this last game, but what Gus Bradley has done, I'm going to say, I think works. If you look at the games that we have been in, the Jaguars, we were in that game until the offense turned the ball over. The Texans, we were blowing them out until we went into, okay, you're going to get everything you want underneath, but by doing that, you're not going to get out of bounds. You're going to run the clock out, and you're not going to have enough time to make this whole big, long comeback, and they didn't. So, yes, we gave up like 250-something yards to C.J. Stroud and really padded his stats there, but, that's understandable. And then the Baltimore game, we were getting after Lamar. We really adjusted to what Lamar and the Ravens were trying to do, really limited Mark Andrews, and just made plays all over the field. So, and then this last game, I think that's the biggest thing that people had is why did you not see Puka Nacua coming? How did you not know that the zone scheme on the Rams was just going to get torched? One of the tweets that I made personally, and I'll kind of pull it up here just to kind of show what I was trying to say maybe. But someone, I'll call him out or I'll shout him out if I see it here. Okay, yeah. So here it is. I'll pull it up. So I'm ratting on myself here. So Josh Norris, I don't know exactly where he is. I guess he's with Underdog maybe. He says the Colts are the last in the NFL in rate of man coverage. It's a Puka week again. So I said, and maybe you can call me out here too if you're watching this. If you think that the Colts can't or won't adjust, just look at the Ravens game. We barely blitz, but had an 80-something% blitz rate. Colts are actually more versatile than you'd think. McVay is also versatile, so this matchup will be fun. Just not an obvious Puka matchup. And then I got the the shoulder shrug from Josh Norris, which is fair. But then I fixed myself, said they should have. Haha, fair enough on the receipt. So I'm calling myself out on that one too, along with that. But they should have adjusted. Is my point. We played a different coverage against the Chiefs when we played them, and really shook them up. And so that's what I was expecting them to do is say, okay, we got these zone beaters that we're going to go up against. We got just the absolute worst zone matchup ever. Maybe let's not play zone and just get them off their comfort level with us. But I think the reason why they didn't is we just don't have the players to match up that skill set. We're on a rookie cornerback with Dallas Flowers, who's a second-year guy. They're not Sauce Gardners. They're not who's the guy? Tariq Woolen. These guys that are just super locked down. They might get there. Right now, they're just not. So they should have been able to get into more man coverages. I think especially with Kenny Moore and Julian Blackmon on the field in those man situations. But again, I'm an armchair coach at this point. I don't have any experience, so take that with a grain of salt. But okay, so now that we've talked about coaches, let's talk about Jonathan Taylor and the potential of but the potential duo of Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. I think this could be the most exciting duo. You got Jonathan Taylor, who will return to practice on Wednesday. I'm recording this Monday night. You got some good memes here of uh, this one's great. I have to play this for the video.
What the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. It's a damn.
So the AFC South finding out Jonathan Taylor is back is great because that's what it's going to be. You know, Jonathan Taylor's going to come in. He's going to rush for 1,000 yards, even though he's missed 4 games. So no, but for real though, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor together have been what most of, if not all, Colts fans have been wanting to see. You know, there's some people that really want Jonathan Taylor traded, or they really don't think that Anthony Richardson's going to be that great, and so I just don't get that part. As a Colts fan, you want the best for your team. I don't know why people are prioritizing being right over, you know, just seeing their team be good. So like if you're a Colts fan, I feel like you should be rooting for everything to happen. The funny thing though with Jonathan Taylor is, I think some of you may have seen this already, but you know, the Colts told Jonathan Taylor, we don't think this year is the right year to do your extension. Jonathan Taylor has been saying, no, I need my extension. I had this great year for you. I got hurt. I don't want to go out there and get hurt again and not be able to get paid in the future, which is, I can understand that. The Colts are saying, hey, we got a new offense. We got a new offensive, you know, coach, coordinator, all that good stuff. We got a new quarterback. Let's see what you look like in this offense, and then we can talk about what your extension is going to be. You're still getting paid for this year, and, you know, we can, you know, franchise tag it down the road and stuff like that. So let's not worry about this year. Let's get this year done, and then we can move forward. But Jonathan Taylor, I think, just cautious about the running game. You get hurt, so I think that's fair. But then it became so people are saying that the Colts didn't want to trade Jonathan Taylor, which is wrong. Or sorry, that the Colts didn't want to sign Jonathan Taylor, which is wrong. They wanted to sign him. They wanted to, you know, to lock him up. They want to keep him on the field. They really like Jonathan Taylor. It's just the timing was different from what people in the media were getting. So you have Jonathan Taylor saying, I'm not going to play for the Colts. It's all broken. You know, nothing's going to work out. And then it's like all these different trade things coming out. Colts are saying, hey, we want a really high return if you're going to give us, if you're going to take Jonathan Taylor from us, we need a really high return because we don't want to give him up. And if you want him badly enough, we can talk about it. But right now, we're not just going to let him walk out our door just because he says he wants to. And so the media came out and said basically that Jonathan Taylor basically should go for like a third or fourth round pick. And the Colts are saying we want a first or second round pick for him. And so it became like the Colts don't want to sign him, but they also want a first round pick. That doesn't make sense. But in reality, it's just the Colts do want to sign him. Not right now. They just want to sign him next year. And then you have people freaking out like, oh, they should have traded him to the Dolphins. But, you know, now they have 2 really good running backs. So now we can't even trade him to the Dolphins. And there's no trade partners anymore. So we can't get any value out of him. And it's like, good. Like if no one wants him and no one's willing to give up this huge capital for him, then that tells Jonathan Taylor other teams don't want to give up that capital too. And obviously they would if it was just a free agent deal. Like that makes sense. But the thing for the Colts too is if they're not like super ready to give you everything like they did for Christian McCaffrey, you probably won't get the same deal as Christian McCaffrey as well. So to me, that just tells me that Jonathan Taylor is going to be a Colt this year. I don't think he's going to get traded before the deadline. Obviously, we can pull out receipts if that's wrong. Again, I'll remind you, I'm a co-host on Third and Wrong, so that's built-in liability coverage right there for me. But Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, what to expect? I would say the biggest thing that you can expect with the Colts this year and Jonathan Taylor is just more yards. Zach Moss, I think, does a really good job of finding, you know, the rhythm of the offensive line, the rhythm of the defense, and how to kind of get in a position to crank out that, that 2 to 3 yard run into like a 5 to 6 yard run. He'll bust a few 10 to 15 yard runs, stuff like that. The thing with Jonathan Taylor is you have a threat that the team knows that they have to watch. And I mean, Zach Moss is a threat, but it's like the difference between I'm trying to say how I put it, like um a muscle car versus a supercar. Zach Moss to me is a muscle car. He's not like super agile. He's not super, high on acceleration, but he can get going pretty good, and he can knock some people through with his muscle. Jonathan Taylor is kind of just the supercar. He has that muscle, but he also has that zip, that agility, and the thing that you're going to see is the runs that Zach Moss took from a 3 to 4 yard gain to like an 8 yard gain. Jonathan Taylor can make those a 60 yard game. And once you have that happen and you have linebackers just like freaking out that Jonathan Taylor might get past them in the hole, you're going to have a lot more over the linebacker's head throws to Pittman, to Pierce, to Downs, McKenzie, these tight ends. Jelani Woods might be coming back soon. So once these linebackers get brought closer to the line of scrimmage because they're just freaking out that Jonathan Taylor might blow past them, you're going to have these plays where Anthony Richardson, fakes it to JT. Everyone is all eyes on JT. And then Anthony Richardson is, on the other side of the field throwing a dart to Alec Pierce over the top. And then on the next drive, you're going to have Jonathan Taylor take the ball because everyone's worried that Anthony Richardson's about to go, ham on the other side of the field. Jonathan Taylor goes and busts a 15-20 yard run. So it's going to be just a lot easier to get open, just open shots to players. It's going to be less predictable. It's going to be, I think, you're going to have more energy as a defender against these teams, and so you're going to be way more tired out. And so I just once you have this offense really set up, I think that's what's going to make the Colts special this year is this blend of Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, and just on top of that, Michael Pittman's having himself a year too. He's not he's not Puka Nacua right now. I think Puka has like twice the yards that he has right now, if not more. But he has a lot of great catches on his resume already. He has a lot of yards after catch for himself too. So those big three in our offense, that can really take us on to that next level of being a legitimate team. And so Anthony Richardson right now, if I were to say anything of what we need out of Anthony Richardson, is just him staying healthy, not taking big shots, sliding like we saw him do, and then just getting these easy plays down so that way they're not like this, just like big strenuous thing that you're going through and just missing, say, Michael Pittman throwing behind him or throwing out of his reach, stuff like that. So I would say with Anthony Richardson that we got one. We got a guy. He has so much potential. I think he's got to have the most potential of any quarterback in the league right now. And that's not to say that he's the best quarterback right now or that he will be. But with everything that we've seen from Anthony Richardson, he has really accurate throws from time to time. Just Josh Downs catching this 40-yard rip down the seam. This last game, I wish I could just pull up these clips easy for you guys, but just seeing his arm ability, he definitely has accuracy, anticipation, awareness. He has the ability to process reads. I think the biggest thing is just the repetition. It's doing it for more than 16 games in his career. It's just going through it, taking all the good and bad at the same time, and just finding out what works for him. These tight ends that we have here, it's just a bunch of keep away from these DBs. You got a 6'7" tight end, you got a 6'4", 6'5" maybe quarterback, and you're throwing over these 5'11" dudes, these 6 foot dudes, and it's just playing keep away at that point. So this Colts team is definitely built different. Not to be a meme, but they're built just different. Like they're built with big size. You got 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers. You got 6'7", 6'6" tight ends. You got 6'7", 6'6" offensive linemen. So it's a big team, athletic team. Got a lot to work on. Right now, we are all tied in the AFC South. There's not really a clear favorite team right now, but the Texans are playing way above what their expectations were. Jags are playing below the expectations that we had for them. The Titans are about as expected, I would say. And then the Colts, I think we could be anywhere from 0-4 to 4-0 at this point, and it's just a matter of how the games ended that we're 2-2. So at the end of the year, I would expect the Colts and the Texans. I'm going to be hot taking right here. Colts and Texans might be the best teams in the AFC South right now. And that's saying that with the Texans on their third string offensive line basically across the board. They're going to get some of these starters back. They're going to get healthy again. And if CJ Stroud is playing like CJ Stroud the whole year, which is kind of tough for a rookie quarterback, but if he does this all year, there's there's going to be a lot of wins under CJ Stroud's name. So, I know I'm a Colts fan, and that's maybe blasphemous to say, but the same thing can be said about the Colts. The Colts could definitely be a team that rips off a ton of wins. We have a less stronger schedule than a lot of other teams in the NFL. And I don't think we'll win a lot of these, as far as I don't think we're going to win all of them. But I do think that we're going to be in every single one of these games. It's going to be close in the fourth quarter. And if it's not close in the fourth quarter, it's because we're going to be winning a lot. And I think that's exciting for the Colts. Again, things can change. I can be wrong. But if you have stuck to the end of this video, please, please, please drop a comment. Engage with us. We like to put our thoughts back to you. If you do comment, we will reply. But just tell us what your thoughts are on the Colts, what your thoughts are on Jonathan Taylor coming back. Do you think he signs a deal with the Colts before the start of next season, or do you think he gets traded before the trade deadline? If you have any thoughts in regards to that, please drop it down in the comments below, and we will definitely talk through it and just have a good time. But again, if you haven't stuck till the end of this video, we do thank you. We are a small channel, so anything that you do, comment, subscribe, and subscribe, it definitely helps us out. So please do that. And other than that, we got 13 more games, so hopefully we can make the playoffs this year and see what Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor can do. But other than that, I'm signing off, and I'll talk to you later.